Imagine taking a deep breath of fresh air, feeling it fill your lungs, and experiencing the life-giving process of respiration. The lungs are extraordinary organs that play a crucial role in breathing, oxygenating the blood, and removing carbon dioxide. Let's delve into the anatomy, function, and significance of these vital organs. The lungs are a pair of spongy, air-filled organs located in the thoracic cavity, flanking the heart. They are protected by the rib cage and separated from the abdominal cavity by the diaphragm, a dome-shaped muscle critical for breathing. Each lung is divided into lobes, 3 on the right and 2 on the left, providing an asymmetrical yet efficient structure. Trachea and bronchi. Air enters the respiratory system through the nose or mouth, traveling down the trachea, windpipe. The trachea splits into 2 main bronchi, each leading to a lung. The bronchi further divide into smaller bronchioles, resembling an intricate tree. Alveoli. At the end of the bronchioles are tiny air sacs called alveoli. These microscopic structures, numbering in the millions, are the primary sites of gas exchange. Their walls are extremely thin, allowing for efficient diffusion of gases. Breathing involves 2 main phases: inhalation, inspiration, and exhalation, expiration. During inhalation, the diaphragm contracts and flattens, and the intercostal muscles between the ribs contract, expanding the thoracic cavity. This expansion creates a negative pressure, drawing air into the lungs. During exhalation, the diaphragm and intercostal muscles relax, reducing the thoracic cavity's volume and increasing pressure, pushing air out of the lungs. The primary function of the lungs is to facilitate gas exchange between the air and the blood. This occurs in the alveoli, which are surrounded by a network of capillaries. Oxygen from the inhaled air diffuses across the alveolar walls into the capillary blood, where it binds to hemoglobin in red blood cells. This oxygen-rich blood is then transported to tissues throughout the body. Carbon dioxide, a waste product of cellular metabolism, diffuses from the blood into the alveoli. It is then expelled from the body during exhalation. The respiratory system is vital for several reasons. Oxygen supply. Oxygen is essential for cellular respiration, the process by which cells generate energy, ATP, from glucose. Without adequate oxygen, cells cannot function properly, leading to tissue damage and organ failure. Carbon dioxide removal. Removing carbon dioxide prevents the buildup of this acidic gas in the blood, maintaining the body's pH balance and preventing harmful effects on cellular functions. Vocalization. The flow of air through the larynx, voice box, allows for speech and other vocal sounds. Olfaction. Breathing through the nose enables the sense of smell, as odor molecules come into contact with olfactory receptors. The lungs have several mechanisms to protect against harmful substances. Mucus and cilia. The lining of the respiratory tract produces mucus, which traps dust, microbes, and other particles. Cilia, tiny hair-like structures, move the mucus upward toward the throat, where it can be swallowed or expelled. Cough. Reflex. Irritation of the respiratory tract triggers the cough reflex, forcibly expelling foreign particles and pathogens. Immune defense. The lungs contain immune cells, such as macrophages, that patrol the alveoli and destroy pathogens. Various conditions can affect lung function, impacting overall health. Asthma. A chronic condition characterized by inflammation and narrowing of the airways, leading to difficulty breathing, wheezing, and coughing. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. a group of diseases including emphysema and chronic bronchitis that cause obstructed airflow and breathing difficulties. Pneumonia, an infection that inflames the air sacs in one or both lungs, potentially filling them with fluid or pus. Lung cancer, uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells in the lungs, often associated with smoking and exposure to certain pollutants. Understanding lung function has several practical implications. Pulmonary rehabilitation, programs designed to improve the respiratory health and quality of life for people with chronic lung diseases. Smoking cessation, efforts to quit smoking significantly improve lung health and reduce the risk of respiratory diseases. Air quality monitoring, ensuring clean air through regulations and monitoring can prevent respiratory problems and improve public health. Medical advances, research and development of treatments such as inhalers, medications, and surgical interventions help manage and cure lung diseases. Calculating the breathing rate in breaths per minute is a straightforward process that involves counting the number of breaths taken over a specific period of time and then converting that count to a per-minute rate. Here's a step-by-step guide. 1. Find a comfortable and quiet environment. Ensure the person whose breathing rate you want to measure is relaxed and in a comfortable position. This helps in obtaining an accurate resting breathing rate. 2. Set a timer. Use a stopwatch, clock, or any timer that can measure seconds accurately. A smartphone timer works well for this purpose. 3. Count the breaths. Observe the person's chest or abdomen. Each rise and fall constitutes one complete breath. Inhale and exhale. Count the number of breaths for a specific time period. Commonly, a 30-second or 60-second interval is used. For a 60-second interval, simply count the total number of breaths taken in 1 minute. For a 30-second interval, count the total number of breaths taken in 30 seconds, and then multiply that number by 2 to get the breaths per minute. 4. Calculate the breathing rate. If using a 60-second interval, the count you get is the breaths per minute. If using a 30-second interval, double the count to get the breaths per minute. Let's go through an example for both methods. Using a 60-second interval. Start the timer and count the breaths for a full 60 seconds. Suppose you count 18 breaths in 60 seconds. The breathing rate is 18 breaths per minute. Using a 30-second interval. Start the timer and count the breaths for 30 seconds. Suppose you count 10 breaths in 30 seconds. Multiply the number of breaths by 2 to get the rate in breaths per minute. Tips for accurate measurement. Avoid distractions. Ensure the person being measured is not talking or moving excessively during the measurement. Multiple measurements. Take several measurements at different times and average them to get a more accurate reading. Consistency. Measure the breathing rate at similar times of day and under similar conditions to get consistent results. Understanding normal breathing rates. Adults. Typically, a normal resting breathing rate for adults ranges from 12 to 20 breaths per minute. Children. Children generally have higher breathing rates than adults. For example, infants can have a rate of 30 to 60 breaths per minute, while older children might range from 18 to 30 breaths per minute.